Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Kayla and welcome. So today's video is all about prepping your healthy snacks for the week because it's always a good idea to have your healthy snacks prepped in advance so that way you can just grab and go, which is especially beneficial when those junk food cravings hit or if you get hungry between meals. Plus, I just feel like if you've already spent the time and energy to prep your snacks in advance, just like with regular meal prepping, you're more likely to stick to your healthy eating routine throughout the week instead of reaching for that junk food when those snack cravings hit. Now don't get me wrong, a little splurge every now and then is totally fine and normal. It's all about moderation, but when you see how delicious these snacks are and plus how easy they are to whip up, you're probably not even gonna miss that processed junk food anyway. Okay, so in today's video, I'm sharing my ranch flavored roasted almonds, my tropical mango pineapple energy balls, frozen banana Snicker bars, chili lime plantain chips, coconut water fruit popsicles, which are so delicious and super refreshing in this summer heat, and my homemade dairy-free ranch dip. And as always, you can print off all of the recipes over on my blog. I'm gonna list the calories and the full macros for each recipe as well. All of those links will be listed in the description box below. But anyway, let's head to the kitchen and get started. First, I'm gonna prep these coconut water fruit popsicles, which are the perfect treat to keep you hydrated in this summer heat. And not only are these low calorie, but they're also kid friendly. All right, so first let's cut up all the fruit. And of course, you can use any fruit that you want to. I'm gonna add in some kiwi. Fun fact about kiwi is that it contains a special enzyme that helps to support digestion, particularly the digestion of proteins. And I ended up using 3 kiwis. I'm also gonna slice up 5 strawberries, which are a great source of vitamin C. And my cantaloupe was super ripe, so I'm gonna cut up some of that too. By the way, cantaloupe is a good source of potassium and beta carotene. And I ended up using 1/4 of the cantaloupe. And for the coconut water mixture, you're gonna need 2 cups of coconut water. And the trick to making these popsicles taste really good is to add 1 to 2 tablespoons of pure maple syrup. Make sure you mix that up really well. And then it's as simple as adding the fruit into your popsicle molds. I'm also adding in some blueberries for extra vitamin C. And I filled the fruit to about 1/2 inch from the top of the molds. Now you don't wanna pack the fruit in too tightly, just sort of randomly drop them into the molds. Now let's pour in the coconut water mixture, and I filled them pretty much to the top. And when adding the popsicle sticks, you do sort of have to push through the fruit a little bit. Some of my sticks were a little lopsided, but the end result still turned out perfect. And now we're just gonna freeze the popsicles overnight. And by the way, you can also make these fruit pops with any type of nut milk or even regular milk. So I just mixed in some maple syrup with a can of full fat coconut milk. And because the coconut milk is really thick, you do wanna tap the molds to make sure that the milk gets in between all the fruit. But these turned out super creamy. And whenever you're ready to serve, just run some warm water on the molds for about 20 to 30 seconds and they'll pop right out. But check out how delicious and refreshing these look. Not only are they low calorie and super hydrating, but they're very tasty, and I guarantee you'll be making these on repeat all summer long. Next up, let's make these mango pineapple energy balls. And all I'm gonna say is Darrell and I could not stop munching on these after I made them. They are so good. All right, so in a food processor, add in 15 pitted dates. And if you're new to eating dates, pitting them just means removing the seeds. And by the way, dates have a decent amount of fiber in them, which can help to keep you regular. Next, I'm gonna add in 1/2 cup of unsweetened dried mango. And let's go ahead and break those down a little bit before we add the rest of the ingredients. Now this does take a few minutes, and the food processor does get a little bit crazy and jumps around at first, so make sure you're holding it down on the counter. But when it turns into a large chunk, go ahead and turn the food processor off and then roughly break it up with your hands and add it back to the processor. Then let's add in 1/2 cup of unsweetened dried pineapple. And if you're allergic to pineapple, you can just add in another 1/2 cup of the dried mango. 1 cup of raw cashews, 3 tablespoons of ground flax seeds, and a pinch of sea salt. Let's process everything again until it all comes together. And this takes about 3 to 5 minutes, but you'll know it's ready whenever everything is stuck together in one big chunk. And now I'm just gonna scoop out about a tablespoon's worth of the mixture, roll it into a tight ball, and then place it onto a lined baking sheet or a lined plate. And if you love coconut like I do, you can also coat these energy balls in unsweetened shredded coconut just to add in some extra flavor. But this should yield you about 18 to 20 balls. And now I'm just gonna refrigerate them for about an hour to firm up. And once they're firm, I like to store them in my glass meal prep containers, and they will stay fresh in the fridge for up to 10 days. But this healthy snack is super easy to whip up, and if you love the taste of mango and pineapple, these are a must try. Okay, if you're craving something more savory and salty, my ranch flavored roasted almonds are the perfect solution. In a large mixing bowl, add in 4 cups of raw almonds, along with 1/4 cup of either avocado oil or melted coconut oil. Now, if you're trying to lose weight and cut back on calories, then just add in 2 tablespoons of the oil. I'm also adding in 1 tablespoon of nutritional yeast and 1 teaspoon each of dried dill, dried chives, dried parsley, onion powder, garlic powder, sea salt, and then half a teaspoon of paprika. And if you want them to be a little bit more salty, just add in another teaspoon of sea salt. Go ahead and mix all that up until the almonds are fully coated with the oil and the seasonings. And by the way, I love roasting my own nuts because most roasted nuts at the store contain pro-inflammatory vegetable oils. So by making my own, I can control the type of oil that I use, and I can control the amount of seasonings. Now just spread the almonds evenly onto a lined baking sheet. I mean, seriously, y'all, how good do these look? All right, now I'm just gonna roast them at 325 degrees Fahrenheit for about 18 to 20 minutes. Now you do wanna make sure you toss them every 5 minutes to avoid burning. And once they're done, let them cool completely on the baking sheet. And before I store them, I like to toss them around one more time just to make sure they're fully coated with all the seasonings. And then I store them in a glass mason jar at room temperature for up to 2 weeks, but usually they don't last that long in this house. And while I love snacking on raw almonds throughout the week, if I ever want to change it up or if I'm craving a salty snack, this is my go-to roasted nut recipe. And by the way, you can use this recipe with any type of nuts. And while we're on the topic of ranch, I wanted to go ahead and share my dairy-free ranch dip with y'all. I love to have this in the fridge at all times, whether I'm using it for dipping my vegetables or even as a salad dressing. So in a mixing bowl, add in 1 cup of clean mayonnaise, and y'all know I love using the Primal Kitchen avocado mayonnaise, along with 1 cup of coconut cream from a can of full-fat coconut milk. Go ahead and mix all that up until it's extra smooth. And with ranch, it's all about those seasonings, so let's add in 2 teaspoons of garlic powder, 2 teaspoons of dried dill, 1 teaspoon of dried chives, 1 teaspoon of dried parsley, 1 teaspoon of onion powder, half a teaspoon of white pepper or black pepper, a pinch of sea salt, and 2 teaspoons of lemon juice. Give that a good mix. And this is going to yield you about 2 cups worth. Now feel free to divide this in half if you don't need that much. And if you want to use this as a salad dressing, all you need to do is add in a few tablespoons of water to thin out the consistency. All right, so now I'm just going to cut up some celery and some carrots to have throughout the week. These are 2 vegetables that I like to have on hand every week, whether it's for snacking, dipping, salads, or whatever. One, because they're super easy to pre-cut and prep ahead. And secondly, because they're an easy way to sneak in extra fiber, nutrients, and antioxidants. I'm also going to slice up a cucumber and bell pepper to serve alongside the ranch dip. And for these, I usually wait to cut them whenever I'm actually ready to eat them. And as far as storage goes, I like to keep my ranch in a glass mason jar, and it will store in the fridge for up to a week. And one thing I've been doing for years to keep my celery and carrots extra crunchy throughout the week is to store them in a glass mason jar or a glass storage container, fill it to the top with water, and it works like a charm. Your celery and carrots will stay super crunchy throughout the entire week. And by the way, I do change out the water every couple of days. But I love making my own homemade dairy-free ranch because most store-bought ranch dressings are full of preservatives and unnecessary ingredients. Okay, now let's prep my chili lime plantain chips, which are perfect for dipping or even as a snack on their own. Start with 2 large plantains, and you do want them to be green when making these chips. Now, if you want to make sweeter plantain chips, then you'll want to use plantains that are super ripe. So all I'm doing is cutting off the ends and then removing the peel with a knife. Now, when they're green like this, the skin is still very tough, so be careful when you're peeling them. And to make it a little easier, you can go ahead and cut them in half first and then remove the peel. And to make sure that the chips are all the same size, I'm going to use my mandolin slicer, and I'm slicing them to about this thickness. And I love my mandolin slicer anytime I'm making homemade chips, whether it's plantain chips, sweet potato chips, or even regular potato chips, because it's super fast and it ensures that they're all the same size, which means that they're all gonna cook evenly and at the same rate. And by the way, if it's your first time using a mandolin slicer, I would encourage you to use the hand guard that comes with it. All right, now let's add the seasonings. I'm adding the juice from 2 limes, 1 tablespoon of avocado or melted coconut oil, 1 teaspoon of chili powder, and sea salt to taste. Make sure you get all those plantains coated with the seasonings. And by the way, if you don't like the chili lime flavor, you can still make regular plantain chips using this same recipe. Just eliminate the lime juice and the chili powder. Now let's spread the plantain chips onto a lined baking sheet, making sure that none of them are overlapped. And while I'm gonna be baking mine, you can also air fry these chips. All right, let's bake the chips at 350 degrees Fahrenheit for about 25 to 35 minutes, making sure that you flip them halfway through baking, and keep an eye on them because once they start to brown around the edges, that means they're done. And you'll want to let them cool completely before serving. And you'll know that you cooked them perfectly whenever they crumble apart really easily. If they're really chewy, that means you didn't cook them long enough. But if you love crunchy snacks like chips, you're gonna love these. And I like to store them in my reusable Ziploc bags, but I will say that you do need to eat these within 2 to 3 days for the best flavor and texture. And the last healthy snack I'm sharing is these frozen banana Snickers. Now, I can't take credit for this recipe. In fact, it's a recipe that went viral on TikTok, so I'm not sure of who the original creator is, but let me just say they are so stinking good. Okay, so starting with 2 bananas, and personally, I find with this particular recipe, using yellow bananas with no spots tend to hold their form better whenever you're slicing them. So first, I'm just slicing them in half, and then in half again, lengthwise. And the original recipe calls for chopped almonds or peanuts, but I'm gonna use 1/4 cup of pecans and 1/4 cup of pumpkin seeds. I love sneaking in pumpkin seeds whenever I can because they're a great source of zinc. And just roughly chop those up. And now let's spread about 1 tablespoon of unsweetened almond butter onto each banana slice. Now I'm just eyeballing it here, but if you're watching your calories, you do wanna make sure that you measure it out. And of course you can use any type of nut butter for this recipe. Now let's sprinkle the chopped pecans and pumpkin seeds over top. I'd say about 1 tablespoon for each banana slice. And now I need to make the chocolate drizzle, and you can use chocolate baking chips or a chocolate baking bar. I added in 1 cup of chocolate chips, but technically you only need about half a cup for this recipe. And then you're gonna need 1 tablespoon of coconut oil for every half a cup of chocolate chips. Now, of course, you can use the microwave to melt your chocolate, but as you can see, I'm heating mine up on the stovetop, and I'm just using a glass bowl that I've set on top of a saucepan that has water in it, and I have the heat set to medium. Once the chocolate has melted completely, you're just gonna drizzle it over the banana slices, as much or as little as you want. And now I'm just gonna freeze them overnight. And once they're done, I do like to let them sit on the counter for about 5 minutes to soften just a little bit before I eat them. But when I first made these, I was pleasantly surprised at how good they are. If you're craving something sweet and chocolatey, these will definitely satisfy your cravings. Well, all right, y'all, that is it for today's video. 6 healthy snack recipes that you can prep in advance for the week. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you're enjoying my entire healthy meal prep series. If you are, be sure to give this video a thumbs up to let me know, and stay tuned because in the next few weeks, I am gonna be filming a new healthy meal prep video with a full menu because I know y'all love those videos so much. So stay tuned for that. Don't forget you can tag me in your food photos and your meal prep photos over on Instagram, and I will reshare that on my stories. I love seeing y'all recreate my recipes and getting your feedback. Also, if you haven't subscribed to my channel yet and you enjoy healthy recipes, meal preps, lifestyle advice, all that good stuff, be sure to hit that subscribe button below. But that is it for today. I'll see y'all in the next video. Bye.